The sky burned orange and red as another explosion lit up the horizon. Commander Marcus Cole stood on the broken walls of Haven Colony and watched the world end. Smoke rose from dozens of fires across the settlement. Buildings that had taken years to build were now nothing but rubble and ash. Haven Colony was the last human outpost in the Varus sector. For 5 years, 12,000 people had called this place home. They had built farms, schools, hospitals, and families. They had created a small piece of Earth on a distant world. And now, in a single morning, it was all being destroyed. The Kethrali had finally found them. Marcus had known this day would come. The Kethrali Dominion was an empire of insect-like aliens that ruled over 3 galaxies. They had conquered 4,000 worlds. They did not negotiate. They did not show mercy. They simply arrived, destroyed everything, and moved on to the next target. Humanity had been running from them for 20 years. Colony after colony had fallen. Earth itself was now just a memory, a burned rock floating in space. The survivors had scattered across the stars, hiding, praying, hoping the Kethrali would forget about them. But the Kethrali never forgot. Marcus lifted his binoculars and looked toward the eastern hills. His heart sank. A dust cloud stretched across the entire horizon, rising high into the sky. Beneath that cloud marched the Kethrali army, millions of them. Their dark bodies moved like a living wave across the land, and leading them was the golden warship of Empress Velthari herself. Marcus had heard stories about the Empress. She was ancient, perhaps 1,000 years old. She had personally led the destruction of hundreds of worlds. Some said she collected the skulls of enemy leaders. Others said she ate them alive. Marcus did not know what was true and what was legend. He only knew that her presence meant one thing. The Kethrali wanted to make sure no humans survived this day. His communication device buzzed. "Commander, this is Shuttle Bay 7. Final evacuation shuttle is loaded and ready. 12,000 souls accounted for. We're waiting for you, sir." Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. 12,000 people. That was all that remained of Haven Colony. Men, women, children, elderly. Farmers, teachers, doctors, engineers. Regular people who just wanted to live their lives in peace. "What's the status of the jump gate?" he asked. "Charging now, sir." 20 minutes until it's ready. 20 minutes. The jump gate was their only escape. It would create a doorway through space, sending the evacuation shuttles to a safe location light years away. But the gate needed time to charge its massive engines. Marcus looked at the approaching dust cloud again. How long until the Kethrali reached the colony? There was a pause. 15 minutes, sir. Maybe less. 15 minutes until the enemy arrived. 20 minutes until escape was possible. 5 minutes of impossible time. 5 minutes that did not exist. Marcus did the math in his head. There was only one answer. Someone had to hold the line. He walked down from the wall and found his squad waiting for him. 8 soldiers. Good men and women who had fought beside him for years. They looked tired and scared, but they stood ready. "Listen up," Marcus said. "I need you all on that last shuttle." Sergeant Jana Torres stepped forward. "Sir, we're staying with you. Whatever you're planning, we're part of it." "That's not a request, Sergeant. That's an order." "Then it's an order we're refusing," said Private Chung from the back. The others nodded in agreement. Marcus looked at their faces. He saw loyalty. He saw courage. He saw people willing to die beside him. It made what he had to do even harder. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. Before they could react, Marcus pulled his stun pistol and fired. One by one, his squad members fell to the ground, unconscious but alive. He worked quickly, dragging them toward the waiting shuttle. The pilot's eyes went wide. "Help me load them," Marcus ordered. "Now, together, They lifted the unconscious soldiers into the shuttle. When the last one was secured, Marcus stepped back. "Get them out of here," he said. "Get everyone to the jump gate." The pilot stared at him. "Commander, what about you? You can't stay here alone. That's suicide." Marcus smiled. It was a strange smile, peaceful almost. "Someone has to buy you 20 minutes. Now go." "That's an order." The shuttle's doors closed. The engines fired. Marcus watched as the small ship rose into the smoky sky, carrying his friends to safety. He watched until it was just a tiny dot among the dozens of other evacuation shuttles racing toward the distant jump gate dot. Then he turned around. The valley stretched before him, a wide open space between the colony ruins and the approaching army. It was a good place to make a stand. No cover for the enemy. Clear lines of sight. One man could do a lot of damage here before they brought him down. Marcus checked his weapons. His rifle had 4 magazines, 120 rounds. He had a combat knife on his belt. 2 grenades hung from his vest. A pistol was strapped to his leg with 3 clips. Against 1,000,000 enemies, he laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of a man who understood exactly how this would end. But the ending did not matter. The only thing that mattered was those 20 minutes. 20 minutes for the shuttles to reach the gate. 20 minutes for 12,000 people to escape. 20 minutes for humanity to survive another day. The ground began to shake. The HFY were close now. Marcus could hear their strange clicking sounds, the noise they made when they communicated. It sounded like 1,000,000 insects all speaking at once. He walked to the center of the valley and planted his feet. He raised his rifle to his shoulder. He took a deep breath of the smoky air. Above, the golden warship of Empress Velthari descended through the clouds. She had come to watch humanity die. She had come to witness the end of the species that had dared to run from her empire. Marcus stared at the approaching swarm of alien warriors. His finger rested on the trigger. "Come on then," he whispered. "Let's see what 20 minutes looks like." The first wave crested the ridge. 500 HFY shock troops, their black armor gleaming, their blade arms raised for killing. They saw the lone human standing in their path, and they charged. Marcus started shooting. Empress Velthari had lived for 947 years. In that time, she had conquered more worlds than she could remember. She had watched species beg for mercy. She had watched them fight and die. She had watched them surrender and accept their fate. She had never watched anything like this. The Empress sat on her command throne, high above the battlefield in her golden warship. Dozens of screens surrounded her, showing every angle of the fight below. Her compound eyes, capable of seeing in multiple directions at once, were all focused on a single point. One human, standing alone in the valley, fighting her army. "This is impossible," she said quietly. Her war admiral, a massive HFY named Vexcor, stood beside her. His mandibles clicked nervously. "Empress, I do not understand. Our warriors are the finest in the galaxy. This human should have died in the first 10 seconds. But the human had not died." Velthari watched the tactical display. The first wave of 500 shock troops had charged at the human. They expected an easy kill. One mammal with a primitive projectile weapon against 500 trained warriors. It should have been simple. It was not simple. The human moved in ways she had never seen before. He did not stand and fight like the other humans she had conquered. He flowed like water. He struck like lightning. Every shot from his weapon found a target. Every step took him out of danger and into a better position. In 3 minutes, half of the first wave was dead. "Send the second wave," Velthari commanded. 500 more HFY warriors charged into the valley. The human did not run. He did not hide. He simply changed position and kept shooting. Bodies fell around him. Green HFY blood sprayed across the rocks. "Empress," Vexcor said, "we have studied human combat capabilities for decades. They are slow. They are weak. Their reflexes are poor compared to our warriors. This is not possible." Valthari leaned forward on her throne. "Possible or not, I am watching it happen." She studied the human more closely. He was wounded now. One of her warriors had cut his arm. Another had struck his leg. Green and red blood mixed on his body. But he did not slow down. If anything, he seemed to fight harder. What drives this creature? She wondered aloud. On the ground, Marcus was running out of ammunition. His third magazine clicked empty. He slammed the fourth one into his rifle and kept firing. His arms burned. His legs ached. The deep cut on his shoulder poured blood down his chest. None of it mattered that he had checked his watch between kills. 8 minutes had passed. 12 more to go. The HFY were learning. They no longer charged in straight lines. They tried to surround him, to trap him against the rocks. Marcus adapted. He moved constantly, never staying in one place for more than a few seconds. He used the terrain, ducking behind boulders, rolling through gaps in their formation. Every time they thought they had him, he was somewhere else. In her warship, Empress Valthari was doing something she had not done in 50 years. She was standing. She had risen from her throne without realizing it, drawn to her feet by the impossible scene below. "How many have we lost?" she asked. Vex single quotes KOR checked his display. His voice was hollow when he answered. 437 warriors, Empress. In 12 minutes. One human, Valthari said. One human has killed over 400 of my warriors. Yes, Empress. She watched as the human's rifle finally ran empty. He threw it aside and pulled out a knife. A simple metal blade against claws that could cut through steel. Any sane creature would have surrendered at this point. The human charged straight at her warriors. Madness, Vexcor whispered. Complete madness. But it was not madness. Valthari could see that now. She had studied hundreds of species. She knew what desperation looked like. She knew what insanity looked like. This was neither dot. This was purpose. The human fought with his knife like he had been born with it in his hand. He slipped between blade arms. He struck at weak points in HFY armor. He used their own bodies as shields against their comrades. When his knife broke, he picked up a HFY weapon and kept fighting. He's not trying to win. Valthari realized suddenly. Vexcor turned to her. Empress? Look at the human ships. She pointed to another screen showing the evacuation shuttles approaching the jump gate. He's buying time. He knows he cannot defeat us. He knows he will die. But every minute he survives is another minute for his people to escape. The War Admiral studied the screen. The jump gate is almost charged. Another 8 minutes. 8 minutes, Valthari repeated. She looked back at the human, still fighting, still surviving, still refusing to fall. He's going to try to give them 8 minutes. One human against my entire army, fighting for 8 minutes. Shall the first send the heavy units? Vexcor asked. The war beasts? We could end this in seconds. Valthari was silent for a long moment. She watched the human take another wound, this time to his side. He stumbled, caught himself, and killed the warrior who had hurt him. Then he kept fighting. No, she said finally. Empress? Send the warriors. Wave after wave. I want to see how long he lasts. Her voice had changed. There was something new in it. Something that sounded almost like respect. I want to see what this human is made of. On the ground, Marcus had lost track of time. He had lost track of how many he had killed. His body was a collection of wounds. His left eye was swollen shut from a blow to his face. Every breath sent fire through his broken ribs. The Kethrali blade in his hand was chipped and dull from use, but he could still stand Dot, so he kept fighting. Wave after wave came at him. He killed them. More came. He killed them too. His movements slowed. His strikes lost their power. But his will never wavered. Dot in the sky above. He could see the evacuation shuttles getting closer to the jump gate. Tiny dots of hope moving towards safety. 12,000 lives depending on him. He would not let them down. A Kethrali blade caught him across the back. Marcus fell to one knee. For a moment, the world went gray. He heard ringing in his ears. He tasted blood in his mouth. Then he heard the clicking sound of the enemy closing in. For the kill, Marcus forced himself back to his feet. He raised his broken blade. "Not yet," he gasped. "Not yet." And he kept fighting Dot in her golden warship. Empress Velthari watched with an emotion she did not recognize. She had conquered thousands of worlds. She had seen billions die. Nothing had ever made her feel like this. Nothing had ever made her feel afraid. 3 hours had passed since the battle began. The valley floor had transformed into something terrible. Kethrali bodies lay everywhere, piled on top of each other in twisted heaps. Green blood pooled between the rocks, flowing like small rivers toward the lower ground. The air smelled of death and smoke and something else. Something that smelled like human sweat and determination. Dot in the center of this field of death. One figure still stood. Marcus Cole was barely recognizable as a human anymore. His uniform hung in tatters, soaked through with blood both green and red. Deep cuts covered his arms, his legs, his chest, his back. His left eye had swollen completely shut. His right hand was broken, the fingers bent at wrong angles. 3 ribs were cracked, maybe 4. A Kethrali blade had pierced his shoulder, leaving a hole that still oozed blood. He should have been dead hours ago. By every law of biology, by every rule of combat, his body should have given up long before now. But Marcus was still standing, and he was still fighting. His movements were slower now. The grace and speed from the beginning of the battle were gone, replaced by something else. Something more primal. Each swing of his weapon was pure willpower given physical form. Each step was a victory against a body that screamed for rest. A group of 5 Kethrali warriors rushed at him from different angles. Marcus turned to face them. He could not move fast enough to dodge anymore. So he did not try to dodge. He let the first blade cut his arm as he drove his own weapon through the attacker's throat. He took a strike to his leg as he killed the second one. He felt something crack in his chest as he brought down the third. The 4th warrior hesitated. Just for a moment. Just long enough. Marcus lunged forward and ended it. The 5th warrior turned and ran Dot high above. In her golden warship, Empress Velthari saw this happen. A Kethrali warrior, one of her elite shock troops, ran from a single wounded human. She should have been angry. She should have ordered that coward's execution. Instead, she understood. "How many?" she asked. Her voice was barely above a whisper. War Admiral Vexcor did not need to ask what she meant. 1,162 warriors dead, Empress. 300 more wounded beyond fighting capacity. 1,000, Velthari repeated. The number seemed unreal. 1 human has killed over 1,000 of my warriors. Yes, Empress. She had not sat down since the battle began. She had not eaten. She had not looked away from the screens for more than a few seconds. Something was happening in that valley. Something that went beyond simple combat. Something that would change everything. "The human evacuation ships," she said. "Where are they?" Vexcor checked the display. "They reached the jump gate 2 hours ago, Empress. They escaped. All of them." Velthari absorbed this information. The human had succeeded. His people were safe. The 12,000 survivors of Haven Colony were now light years away, beyond her reach. The human had given them the time they needed. Does he know? She asked. Unknown, Empress. His communication devices appear to be damaged. He may not have received word. Valthari looked at the battlefield again. The human was still fighting, still killing, still refusing to fall. He did not know that his mission was complete. He did not know that his people were already safe. Or perhaps he did know. Perhaps it did not matter. He's not fighting for escape anymore, she realized. He's fighting because it's all he knows how to do. He's fighting because he cannot stop. Below, Marcus had lost all sense of time and place. The world had narrowed down to simple things. See enemy. Kill enemy. Stay standing. Nothing else existed. There was no past. There was no future. There was only the endless present moment of combat. His original weapons were long gone. His rifle had been empty for hours. His combat knife had broken in the chest of the 200th kill. Now he fought with whatever he could find. A stolen HFY blade. A broken piece of metal. His bare hands when nothing else was available. The HFY had stopped sending waves. They had learned that lesson. Now they came in small groups, trying to wear him down, trying to exhaust him. It was a smart strategy. It should have worked, but Marcus refused to be exhausted. Every time he felt his body failing, he thought about the shuttles. He thought about the children aboard those ships, the families, the elderly, the sick, all those people who could not fight for themselves. He had promised to give them time. He would keep that promise until his heart stopped beating. A HFY warrior struck him from behind. Marcus fell forward, catching himself on his broken hand. Pain exploded through his body, white and blinding. For a moment, everything went dark. When his vision cleared, he saw 3 warriors standing over him, their blades raised for the killing blow. Marcus grabbed a rock from the ground. He threw it into the face of the closest warrior, buying himself 1 second. 1 second was enough. He rolled, grabbed a dropped blade, and swept the legs out from under the second warrior. The third one stabbed downward. Marcus twisted aside, feeling the blade slice along his back. He brought his own weapon up and threw the warrior's throat. Then he stood up again, in the warship. Empress Valthari made a sound that none of her servants had ever heard before. It took them a moment to realize what it was. She was laughing. Magnificent, she said. Absolutely magnificent. Vexcor stared at his Empress. In 900 years, he had never seen her like this. Empress, I do not understand. Our warriors are dying. This human is making fools of us. Why do you laugh? Valthari turned to face him. Her compound eyes were bright with something strange. Because I have lived for nearly 1,000 years, and I have never seen anything like this. Because this human has earned something today that no other creature has ever earned from me. What is that, Empress? My respect. She looked back at the screen. And my fear. On the ground, Marcus felt something shift inside his chest. Something important had broken. He coughed and blood came up. Bright red blood, the kind that meant serious damage. He did not have much time left, but he could still stand out, so he kept fighting. The HFY came at him again. And again. And again. Each time, he met them. Each time, he killed. Each time, he paid for it with a piece of himself. Blood loss was making him dizzy. His broken ribs were grinding against each other with every breath. His vision was going gray at the edges. None of it mattered. Marcus Cole had made a promise. And he was going to keep it, even if it killed him. Especially if it killed him. Above, Empress Valthari watched the impossible human refuse to die. She had seen brave warriors before. She had seen fanatics and zealots and madmen who fought beyond reason. But this was different. This human was not crazy. He was not desperate. He was simply determined in a way that went beyond anything she had ever witnessed. "Halt the assault," she commanded suddenly. Every officer in the warship turned to stare at her. "Empress?" Vexcor asked uncertainly. "You heard me. Pull back all warriors. No more attacks." Her voice carried absolute authority. "I will speak with this human myself. Empress, he's just one human. We can finish him easily now." "Why would you?" "Because some things deserve to be witnessed up close." Valthari moved toward the transport bay. "And some questions need to be asked in person." The Empress of the HFY Dominion, conqueror of 4,000 worlds, was going down to meet the human who had done the impossible. She was going to look into his eyes and understand. The golden transport ship descended through the smoke and ash like a falling star. Marcus watched it come down, his vision blurring in and out of focus. He stood in the center of the valley, surrounded by the bodies of the warriors he had killed. Blood dripped from his fingers, both green and red, forming small pools at his feet. He did not know why the attacks had stopped. For the past several minutes, no HFY had come at him. The millions of warriors surrounding the valley simply stood there, watching, waiting. Something had changed. The transport landed 50 meters away. Its doors opened with a soft hiss. Marcus raised his broken blade, preparing for whatever came next. He had almost nothing left. His body was held together by willpower alone. But he would fight until his heart stopped. Then he saw her. Empress Valthari stepped out of the transport, and Marcus understood why the HFY had conquered the galaxy. She was enormous, nearly 3 meters tall, towering over everything around her. Her body was covered in golden armor that seemed to glow with its own light. Her compound eyes reflected the fires of the burning colony like 1,000 tiny stars. She moved with a grace that seemed impossible for something so large. Behind her, the entire HFY army watched in absolute silence. 1,000,000 warriors, holding their breath. The Empress walked toward Marcus. She did not hurry. She did not seem concerned about the broken human standing before her with a weapon in his hand. She simply walked, each step measured and deliberate. She stopped 3 meters away. For a long moment, they simply looked at each other. The ancient Empress who had lived for nearly 1,000 years. The dying human who had killed over 1,000 of her warriors. Two creatures from different worlds, different species, different realities, meeting in a valley filled with death. "Human," Valthari said. Her voice came through a translator device, giving her words in strange musical quality. "Do you know who I am?" Marcus coughed. Blood came up. He spat it onto the ground and met her eyes. "You're the one who destroyed my world," he said. His voice was rough, damaged by hours of fighting. "You're the one who killed my family, my friends, everyone I ever loved. I am Empress Valthari of the HFY Dominion. I have conquered 4,000 worlds. I have ended countless species. I have ruled this galaxy for 900 years. She paused. "And in all that time, I have never seen anything like you." "Then, you haven't been paying attention." The Empress made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You stand before me, broken and bleeding. You are moments from death. Your weapons are gone. Your strength is gone. And still you speak to me without fear. Why?" Marcus looked at the sky. Somewhere up there, far beyond the smoke and clouds, was the jump gate. And beyond that, 12,000 humans were flying to safety. His people. His mission. "Because I already won," he said. Valthari tilted her massive head. "Won? You stand in a valley of HFY dead, surrounded by an army of millions. You are one human, alone, with no escape. In what possible way have you won? My people escaped. Marcus smiled, showing teeth stained with blood. That was the only thing that mattered. Everything else is just details. The Empress was silent. She looked at the human before her, really looked, and saw something she had not seen in centuries. She saw purity of purpose. She saw a creature who had found something worth dying for and had not hesitated for a single moment. You knew, she said slowly, from the beginning. You knew you would die here. Yes, and you stayed anyway. You watched your people leave, and you chose to remain. To fight, to die. Yes, why? The question was not a demand. It was a genuine desire to understand. Your death gains nothing. Your people were already escaping. You could have gone with them. Why did you stay? Marcus felt his legs weakening. He would fall soon. But not yet. Not while she was still talking. Because they needed time, he said. And time is the one thing I could give them. Every second I fought was another second they had to reach the gate. Every warrior I killed was one less threat to their escape. He paused, struggling to breathe. That's what humans do. We fight for each other. We die for each other. Because that's what makes us human. Even when there is no hope. Even when victory is impossible. Especially then. Marcus raised his broken blade again. It was all he could do to keep it pointed at her. You've conquered a lot of worlds, Empress. But I don't think you understand hope. Hope isn't about winning. Hope is about trying. It's about refusing to give up, even when everything says you should. Velthari studied him. In all her years of conquest, she had seen species fight her armies. She had seen them surrender. She had seen them flee. But she had never seen this. She had never seen someone choose death, embrace death, just to give others a chance. Your species confuses me, she admitted. You are weak. Your bodies are fragile. Your technology is primitive. By every measure we use to judge threat levels, humans are barely worth noticing. And yet here we are. Yes, here we are. The Empress looked at the field of dead warriors around them. Over 1,000 of her best soldiers, killed by one fragile human. Here we are. She turned to look at the burning colony, at the smoke rising into the sky, at the destruction her army had caused. I came here to witness the end of your species, she said. This was supposed to be the final chapter. The last human settlement destroyed. The last survivors killed. The end of the story? Sorry to disappoint you. You have not disappointed me. Velthari turned back to face him. You have terrified me. Marcus blinked. He was not sure he had heard correctly. What? I have conquered 4,000 worlds. I have defeated species with technology far beyond yours. I have crushed empires that stretched across star systems. And none of them, not one, has ever made me feel what I feel right now. What do you feel? The Empress was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, softer, almost uncertain. I feel doubt, she said. For the first time in 900 years, I look at your species and I wonder if we have made a mistake. I wonder if humans are something we should fear. Marcus laughed. It hurt terribly, sending fire through his broken ribs. But he laughed anyway. We're 12,000 refugees running through space, he said. We have no army, no fleet, no homeworld. What could you possibly fear from us? You, the Empress said simply. I fear you. I fear what you represent. I fear a species that produces individuals like you. Because if there is one human who can do what you have done today, then there may be others. And if there are others... She did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. Marcus felt his legs finally giving out. He fell to his knees, the blade dropping from his numb fingers. His vision was going dark. He had minutes left, maybe less. But he had heard something in the Empress's voice, something that gave him hope. "What happens now?" he asked. The Empress looked down at him. In her compound eyes, he saw something he never expected to see. Respect. "Now," she said, "I make a decision that will change everything." Marcus knelt in the blood-soaked dirt of the valley, waiting for death. His body had nothing left to give. His heart was slowing. His lungs were filling with blood. He could feel the darkness closing in from all sides, soft and warm and welcoming. He had done what he needed to do. His people were safe. The rest was out of his hands. Above him, Empress Valthari stood in silence. Her massive form blocked out the smoke-filled sky. Around them, 1,000,000 Kethrali warriors waited for her command. They were confused. They did not understand why their Empress had stopped the attack. They did not understand why she was talking to this broken human instead of finishing him. "You are dying," Valthari said. It was not a question. Marcus nodded slowly. "Yeah, I know. Does that frighten you?" "No." He coughed, and more blood came up. "I was frightened when I saw your army coming over the hill. I was frightened when I heard my people screaming in the colony. I was frightened when I watched the evacuation shuttles flying toward the gate, knowing they might not make it." He paused, gathering the strength for a few more words. "But I stopped being frightened a long time ago. Now I'm just tired." "You could have lived," the Empress said. "If you had surrendered, if you had run, you could have found a way. Maybe, but that's not who I am. That's not who we are." Valthari was silent for a long moment. Then she did something that shocked everyone watching. She turned to face her army, the 1,000,000 warriors who had traveled across the stars to destroy humanity. And she spoke in a voice that carried across the entire valley. "Today, I have witnessed something I never thought possible," she announced. "I have seen a single creature stand against the might of the Kethrali Dominion. I have seen him kill over 1,000 of our finest warriors. I have seen him refuse to break, refuse to surrender, refuse to die, simply because he wanted to give his people a chance to survive." The warriors stirred nervously. This was not what they expected to hear. "I have conquered 4,000 worlds," the Empress continued. "I have destroyed species beyond counting. I have never shown mercy. I have never retreated. And I have never felt fear." She paused. "Until today." She turned back to look at Marcus, who was barely conscious now, held upright only by pure stubbornness. "This human has taught me something. He has taught me that strength is not about numbers. It is not about weapons or technology or how many warriors you can put on a battlefield. True strength is about what you are willing to sacrifice for others. True strength is about refusing to give up when everything tells you that you should." Valthari raised her hand. The 1,000,000 warriors fell absolutely silent. "The humans who escape today will not be pursued," she declared. "The Kethrali Dominion will not hunt them. We will not chase them across the stars. We will let them go." A ripple of shock went through the army. War Admiral Vexcor stepped forward, his mandibles clicking in confusion. "Empress, I do not understand. We have them beaten. We can track their jump signature. We can find them and finish what we started. Why would we let them escape?" Valthari looked at him with ancient, knowing eyes. "Because I have seen what one human can do when he is fighting for his people. One human, Vexcor. One human killed over 1,000 of our warriors and held us here for 3 hours." Her voice dropped lower. "Imagine what an entire species of them could do. Imagine what they will become if we continue to push them." She pointed at Marcus, who was now slumped forward, barely breathing. This human was not a soldier. He was not a special warrior or a legendary fighter. He was simply a man who loved his people enough to die for them. If every human is capable of this kind of love, this kind of sacrifice, Then we face an enemy that cannot be defeated. Not truly. Not completely. So we run? Vexcor asked. There was disbelief in his voice. The Kethrali Dominion retreats from mammals? We do not retreat. We make a strategic decision. Volthari's voice hardened. Humans are not prey. They are not a species to be hunted and destroyed. They are something else entirely. Something dangerous. Something that could one day threaten everything we have built. She looked at the burning colony, at the valley of dead warriors, at the single human who had caused it all. Today, we stop hunting humans, she said. Today, we let them go. And we pray that they never have reason to come looking for us. The Empress turned away from her army and walked back toward Marcus. He was barely alive now. His breathing was shallow. His skin was pale beneath the blood and dirt. Human, she said softly. Marcus Cole, can you hear me? Marcus opened his remaining eye. Through the darkness closing around him, he saw the massive form of the Empress kneeling beside him. Yeah, he whispered. I hear you. Your people are safe. We will not pursue them. The Kethrali Dominion withdraws from this conflict. Marcus thought he had misheard. What? You won, Marcus Cole. You won. The Empress made a gesture, and several Kethrali medical officers rushed forward with equipment. And now you will live to tell them. Everything happened quickly after that. Marcus felt himself being lifted onto a medical platform. He felt strange energy washing over him, healing technology far beyond anything humans possessed. He felt the bleeding stop, felt bones beginning to knit back together, felt life flowing back into his broken body. He wanted to ask questions. He wanted to understand what was happening. But unconsciousness took him before he could form the words. When Marcus woke up, he was aboard a Kethrali shuttle. The medical officers had finished their work. His wounds were closed. His bones were healed. He would carry scars for the rest of his life, but he would live. Empress Velthari was there, watching him. Why? Marcus asked. His voice was still rough, but stronger than before. Why save me? Why let us go? Because you earned it, the Empress said simply. And because I am wise enough to know when I have met something that should not be challenged. She gestured toward a window. Marcus looked out and saw stars. Endless stars, stretching into infinity. Go back to your people, Velthari said. Tell them what happened here. Tell them about the Battle of Haven Valley. Tell them that they are safe from the Kethrali Dominion. And tell them, she paused, as if searching for the right words. Tell them that one man saved them all. Tell them what humanity is capable of when it matters most. The shuttle changed course, heading toward the coordinates where the human refugees had fled. Marcus watched the stars flowing past, still struggling to believe what had happened. One more thing, the Empress said. When your people grow stronger, when you rebuild and expand and become powerful again, remember this day. Remember that you have nothing to fear from my empire. We will not bother you again. And what if we come looking for you? Marcus asked. It was not a threat. It was a genuine question. Velthari was quiet for a moment. Then she made that strange sound again, the one that might have been a laugh. Then I hope you remember that I showed mercy when I did not have to. I hope you remember that I gave you your life and your people's future when I could have taken everything. She turned to leave. But if you do come for us, Marcus Cole, I hope you bring many warriors like yourself. Because now I know what humans are capable of. And I will be ready. She left the shuttle then, returning to her golden warship. Marcus watched it rise into the sky, surrounded by the vast fleet of the Kethrali Dominion. Then the shuttle jumped to hyperspace, carrying him home. 3 days later, Marcus arrived at the new human settlement where the survivors of Haven Colony had gathered. When he stepped off the shuttle, 12,000 people were waiting for him. They had heard what he did. They had watched recordings from the colony sensors. They knew that one man had held off an army while they escaped. They cheered for him. They cried. They called him a hero. Marcus stood among his people, alive against all odds, and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Kethrali Dominion was retreating. Somewhere out there, an empire that had conquered 4,000 worlds was leaving humanity alone because of one man, because of one choice, because of 20 minutes in a valley filled with death. He thought about what the Empress had said, about strength, about sacrifice, about what humanity was capable of when it mattered most. And for the first time in 20 years, Marcus Cole felt something he thought he had lost forever. He felt hope.